First off, welcome everybody. Excited to have you guys here tonight and showcase not only Saucony shoes, but also the athletes that we sponsor, who are obviously all going to be part of the race on Saturday. As we all can agree, Saucony makes the best shoes in the industry. And if you don't believe me, ask these guys. My name's Tim Bro. I work for Saucony. I work in the marketing department in Boston, and I also coach a handful of athletes, 7 athletes who live and train in Boston, are all sponsored by Saucony. We got together trying to figure out a way to kind of showcase, obviously, our new shoe, the Endorphin, and bring these guys up in front of you and have them just share a little bit of their wisdom and give you an insight into their lives and what they have done to prepare themselves for this moment. So I thought a really interesting way to just get started is to throw a curveball at all these guys. I did send them all a list of the questions before tonight, but I didn't send them this list. So they may feel a little surprised, but I thought this is kind of a way to just kind of kick this off and give you a little insight into who these guys are. So we're going to start with Tim Ritchie. Tim, you want to wave? Hi. Tim Ritchie hails from Boston, or just outside Boston, Worcester. And to let you know what Tim is all about Dunkin' Donuts. In fact, this Dunkin' Donuts home is Boston, Massachusetts, and Tim has this, I've heard a rumor that Tim Ritchie can be in any town in America and he knows exactly where the Dunkin' Donuts is. True or false?
That's true. There's 34 in the greater Atlanta area, including 2 at the airport.
In fact, how many Dunkin' Donuts are there on the Boston Marathon course?
18 on the Boston Marathon course. I don't know how many you guys put out on this course, but hopefully that many.
Are you making that up, really?
It's a true story.
Wow. It's amazing. Thank you, Tim. Molly Seidel is sitting here. Molly, wave to everybody. Molly hails from the University of Notre Dame. She's a 4-time NCAA champion. She's a Foot Locker champion. But what you don't know about Molly Seidel is that she has a pet cat named Mr. Banks, that she, in her free time, she knits and bakes. So Molly, the question for you is, when you're 60 years old, are you going to be a crazy cat lady with 20 cats?
Yes, of course. I think this came up on the run this morning that I have I'm 25 going on 80. So I've just tried to embrace that lifestyle. I'll be baking cookies for anyone after the race, so find me.
Whoa. Next up, we have Brian Schrader. Brian, wave.
Go big Brian.
Brian hails from the running mecca of Flagstaff, Arizona. And he did not follow the traditional path to the Olympic trials marathon. When Brian was in high school in Flagstaff, he was the star quarterback. He could slam dunk the basketball as a freshman, and he qualified for the state meet in the long jump. Not the traditional path of a marathoner. Brian, do you have any regrets picking the sport of running?
No regrets, but from a financial perspective, it would have been nice.
Next, we have Erin Heenan. Erin, wave to everybody. Erin actually works for Saucony and is running the race on Saturday. She is a mother of 2. In fact, her and her husband both work for Saucony here in the Atlanta area. And she still has the energy to go out and qualify for the Olympic trials with a full-time job and 2 kids. That's really impressive. We're going to get into the training stuff later, but do you have any special workouts with a stroller up hills preparing for the course?
Honestly, stroller running really makes you strong, and when you're not running with the stroller, you feel lighter, yes, but you do really just take advantage of that strength, and it carries you. So I have done it, and I was about to do it the other day, and it's been so long that I said, I can't change it up now because it kind of make me sore, but stroller running power.
That's a business model, I'm telling you. Laura Tweet. Wave, Laura. Laura is from Boulder, Colorado, and I've heard a rumor that you spend 18 hours of your day binge watching Netflix shows. True or false?
It's true. And I have a couple suggestions currently for anyone that's looking for some new shows. So let me know if that's you.
Any guilty pleasures, like worst show you watch on Netflix?
Okay, I don't want people to judge me for this, but currently I'm really into Love is Blind on Netflix. Yes, I got some. All right. I got some people out there. And I also really enjoy a lot of the shows on Bravo as guilty pleasures, like some of the Housewives. So
it's not a rumor.
18 hours is like maybe an exaggeration, but
If
maybe
you wonder
not
what
far
these
off.
guys do for the other 12
I have
hours
to
a day, they're not
recover.
running. Noah Drody. Noah, wave to everybody. I have so many questions.
Well, let's get to everybody else can go home. That's
I'm
my panel now.
I'm skipping over the CBD sponsorship, and
We can talk about that.
and not only is Noah a gifted athlete, I've heard a rumor that he is a very gifted musician, and he is also going to be emceeing the race for us live on Saturday. So my question is, Sophie's choice: Olympian or a Grammy with a platinum record?
I think I'll do both. I think I'll. No, both very tempting, but.
So Noah is going to be showcasing his talents on Saturday. So hopefully everybody makes it back over here and watches the race because they're going to. What mile mark is this? Mile 6. He's going to be do commentary for everybody and being chief entertainer.
I don't know about cheap, but.
One of those. Okay. Down on the end is Molly Huddle, if you guys haven't heard of her. Given your 28 national, was that right? 28? 28 national titles, 2-time Olympian, American records in the 5K and the 10K, 6th place finish in Rio in the 10K, which also gave her the American record, which was 30-13, 5-time consecutive world championship. Holy cow, you're good. PRs of 14:50, 30:13, 67:25, and 2:26:33. But the real question is, you obviously have some talent. What is your beer mile PR?
My beer mile is my worst event, for sure. I tried it once, and I was DNF. But I couldn't drink 4 beers that fast. Sad.
We got her. And then lastly, Jared Ward. Jared Ward. In case you guys haven't heard of Jared, he surprised the world back in 2016 in Rio and finished 6th in the marathon. The question for you is, Jared has 4 children. Will any of them beat your high school PRs? Are they here? Are you allowed to say
No,
this?
they're not here. They're not here. Yes.
That's all I could
maybe
come up
all
with.
of them.
Okay. So there's our panel. I just kind of want to give you guys a little introduction. We're going to cover a few things. Just a quick note, these guys have the biggest race of their lives in less than 48 hours. So we're going to try to make this snappy because, believe it or not, they get nervous, and they probably all just want to be sitting in their hotel rooms right now watching Netflix. So I thought we'd just start with a little bit about training and what these guys do in preparation. So guys, I'm going to just kind of ask one person. If you guys have an answer that you really, man, I had a great answer for that, just shout it out. And if you guys have an answer, if you guys have a question to kind of piggyback off that, just raise your hand and you can jump in. Let's start with this. Molly, what is your best workout ever?
I'm actually not really like a workout warrior. My workouts are not great compared to my race times. But I think my best workout ever was probably 3K repeats. And I did the last one in like 9:0 something.
Oh my Lord.
But most of my workouts are the other way.
9:0 something. We got to do the math. So that's sub 5. That's sub 4. That's 4:55 pace.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I was
for
running
2 miles.
72s. I forget what it was on the last one, but it was like
4:40. Yeah. Oh my God.
it was it was a rare occurrence for sure. Usually my races are like, how did I do that? My workouts were so terrible, and so that's just kind of the pattern I'm in. But it's been working for me, so I don't put too much stock into a workout, honestly.
That's good advice. If you guys were listening, that was really good advice. Tim Ritchie, is there a workout when you see it on your calendar a coach gives you that you just dread?
Every single workout that I see on my calendar.
I coached him, by the way.
Yeah. Bro's been my coach, and there's been plenty of times where I'm coming off of an injury or something, and I say, hey, coach, I'm ready to get back into it. He's like, great. I'll put up a workout on your calendar, and I look at it the next day, and it's this impossible task. But you end up going out and doing it and hitting it pretty much just as he prescribed, so it says something about a coach who really believes in you and knows what you're capable of doing.
We're going to, where's Brian? Brian, question for you. What is the secret? So Brian's just started the marathon 2 years ago, ran 2:13 for his first marathon ever, and followed that up with a half a few weeks ago in 1:01:50. Is there a secret to how you ran that fast so quickly over those two distances?
No secret. I think I naturally, yeah, the Saucony shoes. The endorphin wasn't actually my first.
Just teed you up, man.
I know, and actually, it actually is a cool story because at that point I was gonna race in the Convara. I was even thinking about racing in the Ride, which is just our regular trainer. And then they created a prototype for Jared for his New York race, and I saw them in the office, and I was like, "Hey, those look pretty nice." And they said Ward on them, and they were a size too small, but I still just shoved my foot in there, and then it just felt so incredible. And I was like, "All right, I'm wearing these," and ran 2:13, so it works just fine.
We'll go to Jared next. Jared, is there a benchmark workout or a confidence workout you guys do on a frequent basis that you know if you hit it, you're ready to go?
Yeah, I would say for me, it either comes in a long run where we do, Coach Eyestone has me do 20 to 25 mile long runs, and most of them we just do a minute slower than race pace, but he'll have me do pickups in these, and so sometimes as much as 8 miles of it will be at marathon pace. And when I get to that 25-mile run with 8 miles at marathon pace, if I can do those 8 miles and hit marathon pace and feel okay doing it, that normally brings some confidence.
You guys should write that down. Yeah. We'll go Molly next. Molly, I'm throwing a curveball at her here. Oh, God. Do you have like a craziest workout you've ever tried? Failed or made it? Either way.
I feel like I don't do that crazy of workouts. Kind of like other Molly over there. I feel like I have wildly unimpressive workouts, but much more wildly unimpressive than those. I have never run 9 minutes in a 3K in a workout. In terms of like kind of weird workouts, one of them that we had in this build-up, I was down in Phoenix for the weekend, supposed to do like 22 miles with like 3,400s in there. Got kicked off the track mid-workout, so I had to jump on the river path, find another track mid-workout while doing all these. Got kicked off that track, went back to the original one and convinced them, all while we're trying to consistently do these 400. So I don't know if that's impressive. That's just, I feel like my life's a mess, and that kind of epitomizes my training.
Well, we'll go Noah next. Noah, what's a typical long run? For you, like how far do you guys go? What's the longest you've ever been?
Yeah, so as I've kind of grown to become a marathoner in the last couple of years, it's gotten longer. The longest I've gone in a long run is 23. But if I can get to 20 or so, that I start building confidence there. But I think anything like 13 and over, you can call a long run. That's my personal philosophy.
Okay. And we're going to go next. Aaron, question for you. You always hear people say this, like when you're racing, and one of the things you've probably already picked up on these guys is they're always saying it's a confidence workout. And believe it or not, all of us struggle through, I would assume they can all agree with me, struggle through the same things of like having questions and self-doubt when you're working out and when you're training. So question for you, is there a mantra, is there something you have in your head when you work out for big workouts or racing that you repeat to yourself?
I do. I have a couple. I guess it depends on the day, but My husband, before I toe the line for a race, literally every time he says, you're doing something special. And it sounds so simple, but it's so true. I think no matter what kind of day you have out there, it's special for you, whether you're fighting or feeling good. It's just something unique and special happening. So keep it simple.
Lastly, Laura, question for you. Last big workout you did before you came here. Something that's going to make everybody go, wow.
Again, I don't have any crazy workouts. I feel like we keep it pretty simple. But let's see. My last big workout, I did a long run. So it was like a total of 19 miles. But to prepare for Atlanta, since we knew it was going to be pretty hilly, my coach mapped out this like 6-mile loop where more than half of it was like up these gradual kind of grinding climbs. I can't remember what the elevation was, but like I gained quite a bit of elevation in each of these loops, and I was supposed to run quite a bit of it at marathon pace. And so it was really challenging, but I was able to hit it out of the park, and I just felt really strong. And kind of going off of what Aaron was saying, in those big workouts and when you're preparing for a really big race, it's just always important. I like to go back to remembering that it's running and it's this simple thing that we get to do, and we do it because we love it. And so in the middle of a really hard workout like that, or like in a race, I always go back to that and just gain confidence from that. But that was kind of my last big marathon workout, was a big long run with some race-paced miles in the middle of it.
Money. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit, and I'm not going to ask for anybody's secrets here, but we'll start with Molly down there because we are here for the Olympic Trials race, which is on Saturday. Molly, we don't want to know your plan or your secrets, but how do you see the race playing out on Saturday?
Oh gosh, I think everyone has tried to imagine it, and you really have to be ready for anything because, especially on the women's side, the field is so deep. We have, we could send 3 teams. I keep saying 2 teams. We probably could send 3 really good teams to the Olympics. So we're only sending 1 team of 3 people. And the course is hilly, and it was kind of breezy out there when I did my run today. So I just think there's a lot of factors that could flip the race upside down the last 10K. So yeah, it could be anything. I would see the benefit of like maybe going out a little conservative just because the course is so hard. But there's a couple women in there that might want to just like burn out go out right away and drop a bunch of people. So got to be ready for both.
Yeah, that's good insight. I'm gonna go to Noah here. Your question for you: how do you see the guys' race playing out? If you had to guess.
Yeah, I think the guys are probably pretty evenly matched at the high end, and so I think a lot of them have to be thinking if they make it to the last lap feeling strong, then they can do a whole lot of damage. And so I don't really expect to see anybody really running away from the field early. I think there's probably 15 to 25 guys who can really push each other until, a leading group naturally separates going to the last 10K or so.
I know these guys are really nervous, but as a fan, on Saturday, this is going to be an awesome race. This is going to be an incredible weekend. So it's really cool for them to sit here and kind of share their insights into what they think is going to happen in this. Question for Jared: when you saw the course and how hilly it was, because if you guys don't know the area, haven't been on the course, it's exceptionally hilly. Did you change your training at all, or did you do anything specific in preparation for this versus a flat Chicago type course?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a cross country version of a marathon course. I think that this is. I think in terms of the wear and tear on our bodies and on our energy systems, this is a 28-mile marathon, and so you have to be ready for a grinder. And so, so you have to stay healthy in training so that you have good, long, consistent training. And I think that's part of it. But then also, being prepared for the hills. I've always considered myself a very natural downhill runner. And Coach Eystone doesn't like to work out doing too much downhill for injury risk, at least at no downhill faster than marathon pace. And so we've had some hilly loops that we'll do at marathon pace, where I get some uphill and downhill, but then we've done intervals just going up, where we just go uphill. And and he's increased my confidence in my ability to run up hills. And I think something that's nice about a course like this and the hills on this course is they're never so long that you can't see to the top of it. And so in this race, it's just get to the top of the hill and you know there's a downhill on the other side. And I think it's going to be a trick of keeping the mentality of push up, trust what's coming on the other side while still staying, as these guys have talked about, while still staying relaxed until the race really starts. And so it's going to be tough because the pace is going to be all over the place. This isn't a race where you can shut your mind off for 15 miles and just float through miles. I think you're going to have to be aware, but still try to be not burning through your mental fuel tank early on in the race as well.
Any other insights? Any of you guys want to raise your hand and share anything? No? They really want to be watching Netflix right now. All right, let's fantasize, have a little fun. Tim Ritchie, if you make the team, do you get the tattoo? And where does it go?
My wife's in the audience, so I guess I'd have to include her on the "where's it go" thing. But I could see a couple rings going right on the left cheek.
Question for any of you guys: does anybody secretly? This wouldn't be a secret if you said it, though. Have a if you make the team, some sort of dance at the finish line planned? Have you practiced that? Nobody. Okay.
Wait, did you have a dance at the finish line when you made the Olympic team?
Oh yeah.
Can we see it?
Kamoy, the steeplechaser.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dance. Yeah. Yeah. I'll send you the GIF. Okay, we're gonna talk. Little bit about growing up Olympic role models. And so I guess this is just as a question, a curiosity for the entire panel. Does any of you guys have a role model, an athletic role model that you had growing up that inspired you and kept you in it? And you guys just start at Molly and work your way down.
Well, my first memory of the Olympics was watching the Atlanta Olympics in '96. I was in 6th grade, and I remember the only track I remember watching was Michael Johnson winning with his gold shoes, which I thought was amazing. That memory, I own a few pairs of gold shoes. It's just something that's burned into my brain. Also the gymnasts was kind of who were my role models when I was little, more so than the runners, because that's kind of what was marketed to 12-year-olds at the time. But since then, I've gone on to really look up to Dina and Meb, watching them win their medals in Athens on TV was huge for me at that age. I was really into running. And so, yeah, I'd say I look to them so much. I think a lot of us do.
Yeah, for me, there was this Saucony athlete, Molly Huddle, who was in the Olympics. And that's right when I was aspiring to be a professional runner myself. And so, yeah, I've always been able to draw a lot of inspiration from my peers. And there's a couple Olympians up here beside me that continue to serve as that inspiration.
Yeah, I think peers is the big motivation for me. When I went to school at NAU and we had a few Olympians, and they always brought the most inspiration. There was Lopez Lamong, Dave McNeil, and then Diego Estrada all made the Olympics. So to see the training that they did, how they did, it really kind of made you believe that could also be me someday.
So for me, it would have been being recruited by my current coach now, Coach Ed Eystone. When I was in high school, he showed up to recruit me to run at BYU, and he was wearing his Olympic ring from one of the years that he had gone. And I remember thinking that was so cool. And in fact, I would jeer, it became an inside joke for years with me on the team, where coach would say, yeah, I got a recruiting trip this afternoon. And I'd be like, well, you're going to wear your Olympic ring for it? Or, or coach would show up to practice and I'd be like, you wearing the ring? And, and he didn't wear it often, but that was one of the first things that he said to me at the finish line of LA was, hey, Jared, you're going to get one of those rings. And that was kind of when it came full circle to me, when I realized that, that dream, or that person that I had, I'd looked up to Coach Eyestone, and I had become a part of what he had become, or what he was for me.
Growing up, our family's main sport was actually skiing. So my first intro to kind of seeing the whole majesty of the Olympics was with Nordic and downhill skiing, and that kind of got me excited and stuff. Obviously, I don't really have the body type of a top level skier, and so as I shifted into running, it definitely started focusing more in that realm. And I know Tim Ritchie has already stolen this one, but Molly was a huge role model for me, being a Notre Dame student athlete as well, and seeing her out on the world stage, just breaking records and doing all these things, being dang, she was once a student athlete at Notre Dame as well. That was my dream, seeing her up on the wall in the jack and coming in and being dang, that's what I want to be someday. So obviously I've just copied her in every sense of her life at this point. So yeah.
Most of my early mentors in running were people just in my local community that you would never have heard of, but they didn't have to be great runners to have a really profound impact on me. One of the first professional races that I remember watching and that just really moved me greatly was when Meb won Boston. And that was one of those, you see him cross the line, cried a little bit, and then I threw my shoes on and went on a run for myself. And so, and that really was special. And I have a lot of other mentors in the sport now. I consider Jared to be a mentor, and I'm really lucky that I've gotten to meet a lot of them now as a professional athlete. So it's been a lot of fun.
For me, growing up, I'm a little bit older, I think, than most of these guys, and growing up in high school and college running, I really looked up to Dina Castor and think that she just kept proving over and over how strong and fierce she is as a racer, and even with older age, she still was such a stud competitor. But honestly, I'm humbled sitting up here with these guys now, because we drive a lot for our jobs, and I listen to you guys on your podcasts, and you guys inspire me as I get older and still trying to run fast. Similar answers. The first Olympics I remember watching, being more geared into running, was again when Dina and Meb won medals in Athens, and what an incredible moment that was, and just realizing that Americans can compete at the highest level of our sport on this international stage was really incredible as a younger athlete, kind of just starting to get into the sport. But I also am going to say in 2016. Watching Jared make the Olympic team, I got chills watching that race. Jared was obviously, he already had established himself at that point, but I don't necessarily think at that point he was on the big radar to maybe be a favorite to make that team. And he, just grinded it out and kind of was a little bit more of a dark horse and crossed that line and made his first Olympic team. And just, watching that, it really resonated for me as far as just anything is possible, and I think that's the beauty in any type of sport or racing, but really in the marathon, I just think that's so cool because it can really be anyone's day, and it was just an amazing moment to watch Jared really seize that for the first time, and so that's kind of always been in the background for me as I've gotten ready for this next cycle. So
That's a lot of pressure, Jared.
I know.
Oh my God.
No pressure.
So, last question. Well, obviously we're all here because it's all about the shoes. And Saucony is launching the Endorphin Tour, starting here and moving it around the country and showcasing all of our technology and all of the work that's gone into making some of the best running shoes in the world. Jared, you had a big hand in the Endorphin project from the start. Do you just want to share a little bit about how you got involved with that and where we're at with it?
Yeah, sure. So I got a phone call from Spencer White about a week before the New York City Marathon in 2018. And he said, hey, we have a new prototype for a racing shoe. Would you want to check it out? And I said, was this like a plated shoe? And he said, yeah, it's one of those shoes. And I was like, yeah, great, send it. And so he sent me 3 shoes. And on Tuesday, before the New York City Marathon, so 5 days before, I ran on a treadmill and measured oxygen uptake with those 3 shoes and the Kinvara, which is the shoe that I was going to run in. And 2 of the shoes performed similarly to the Kinvara, and then one was 4.4% better. And so I called Spencer back and I said, hey, I think we should call them the 4.4%ers, because this was 2 years ago. He said, no, I don't think we can do that. But but I liked the shoe, and I bought into it right from the beginning. And it was one test with me on the treadmill running 1 mile at marathon pace. So it's far from clinical, but even before I knew the results of the test, I got off after that shoe and I said, these are the ones. And I remember feeling in New York really good on the downhill. And so that started this iterative process of the Saucony team and Andrea sending me, 4 or 5 pairs of shoes and me trying them out and sending back information and giving my feedback. And they were testing stuff in the lab and I was testing stuff running in it. And man, that was fun. And it's, in a sense, it was really fun to have, the shoe industry for racing for marathon shoes was kind of turned on its side when a shoe dropped that was 15 years ahead of its time. But what happened was we started thinking a little bit more dynamically as innovators. And I think it took an industry that I saw as, can we make something lighter? Can we make it lighter? And there was so much emphasis on light because that's something so easy to measure, and we know the energy cost benefits of making something lighter. So we were going lighter, 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 as light as you can wear in the marathon, as light as you can handle. And then all of a sudden now we're innovating. We're saying, hey, wait, maybe we can add strategic weight. And so, Saucony took the idea of putting a plate in and innovated pretty impressive foam, and then did a lot on the shape of the shoe that changes the posture that you're running in. I mean, it's hard to sit back in these shoes. And I think those are some of the innovations that this team has made. And there's more innovations coming as we continue to think dynamically about shoes. And so it's kind of a fun time, in some sense, things have changed as it relates to marathoning, and there's conversation on shoes at every, we just came from the press conference and everybody's asking about shoes and asking if it's a level playing field. And there's a big conversation there right now, and there's emotion on both sides of the argument. But what's fun as innovators is that this is a fun time to be looking at what can we do to make things faster. And we were just talking before we got on this panel about how these shoes are going to help us to run longer. You recover quicker with the better foam that we're running in now. And so by recovering quicker, we're going to do less damage to our bodies, and we're going to be able to run longer. And I think that's worth investing in. And so this has been a fun thing for me to be a part of. And I hope that that's a process that continues in a very active way for a long time.
This is why we pay him the big bucks. All right, we're gonna do a quick kind of open it up to a couple questions, because these guys are supposed to get out of here and they got to go to bed and run a big race in a couple days. So we'll just do a couple questions. We'll start in the front here. Go ahead.
A number of you ran Road to Gold and have been out in the preview courses. Are there any of you here who have not run any section of the course?
Tomorrow. Yeah.
So you get asked a lot what the hardest part of training for the trials was, but what was the easiest part? Oh, I like that one.
The sleeping, the eating, the massage. Like there's a lot of perks to
You burn
to train hard.
4,000 calories a day.
All the Netflix, obviously, for me. So.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Jared, you're a statistician. So the mathematical part of training, I mean, how important is that in your
It's a subconscious poison that I have to live with. And it causes me to bring things to Coach Eyestone, and he'll just say, Jared, just get really, really fit and you'll be fine. And then we go back to that part.
Something. Oh. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Go to pre-race meal.
This might be divisive, but I actually love Outback Steakhouse has really good salmon and sweet potatoes. Don't hate on Outback. It is reliable. You can find it in any city in the country. Outback for president.
Anybody else care to share secrets of what they eat the night before the race?
I'll be eating a baked potato and fish too, so it sounds like we're similar.
And I just stick with pizza. Nice and simple.
We'll do one more. Go ahead.
How do we feel about temperature? Like, everyone likes different running temperatures. What do you think about it?
I mean, I think we're all thinking things are looking pretty good for Saturday. So, I don't know how you guys feel about it in the South, but we'll take the 40s all day.
Amen.
Okay, so again, I just want to thank, number one, thank Saucony for not only allowing us to get to chase our dreams and do what we want to do, but also for pushing themselves the way we push ourselves and trying to innovate and continue to make the best shoes on the market. So big shout out to Saucony, and big shout out to Big Peach Running Company for hosting us tonight. If you guys have any questions and these guys going to hang around for a few minutes. If they don't want to shake your hand, don't take offense. They really don't want to get sick 2 days before the biggest race of their life. Or if you see them doing this after they shake your hand. But thank you guys for coming out, and please cheer hard for Saucony on Saturday.